Namaste. Welcome to our next of the talks on the Bhagavad Gita. We're now ready for the 50th verse of the second chapter. This translation by Prabhupada is quite a bit interpretive, but it's absolutely correct as far as the ideas that are conveyed there. In the calm of self-surrender, you can free yourself from the bondage of virtue and vice during this very life. That's just the first clause of the verse. Actually, literally, it says in the fixing of the mind within the buddhi, within the thinking intellectual mind. In other words, we're getting above the sensory mind and the emotions. So it's just plenty fine to say in the calm of self-surrender. In other words, there you are, you're posited in the higher intelligence of yourself, and you're relaxed, you're at peace. And when you do that through your life, it isn't, oh, you sit in meditation and do that, and it's very fine, but of course you have to come out later. No. You do this in meditation, and then you maintain it outside of meditation. And by fixing yourself calmly in your true intelligence, then the idea of this is good, this is not good, oh, I hope this and I don't hope that, and so on, all these dualities, these ambivalences, oh, I sure hope I succeed and I don't fail, etc. So these dualities, these dvandvas, here it just says virtue and vice, but it indicates all of these oppositions. So you can free yourself from the domination of the anxiety about these things and just be aware, no matter what comes and goes, I am that self. I am that immortal being. All right. Devote yourself, therefore, he says, to reaching union with Brahman. In other words, this isn't just a positive thinking, mind gaming type of program so that you'll always be peaceful and you'll always be able to see things objectively, and that's ITF. No, it means you do this so you will unite yourself to the absolute consciousness that is the essence of yourself. To unite the heart with Brahman, and by the way, this isn't meaning the ultimate union or the ultimate vision of infinity. It means to be in touch with that principle in you. To unite your heart with that, and then to act in the perspective of the clarity of vision you have, that is the secret of non-attached work. And you understand, this is the to be done. And so, since it is to be done, obviously I can do it. And you just do it. And you don't worry, how will it come out or not come out, as long as you're doing your best and as long as you are centered in the calmness of your true being, then everything goes fine. And he continues, in the calm of self-surrender, the seers renounce the fruits of their actions and so reach enlightenment. Because you see, when there is an indifference to actions and the results of action, there's no karma. Especially there's no mental karma and there is only minimal external karma. Therefore, you're not pulled here and there by, well, this is a fate you've created yourself and you got to face up to it. No. In that stability, that's just as good a word, and maybe better than calm, you can reach enlightenment very easily, seemingly even automatically. Then they, and that's us too, are free from the bondage of rebirth and pass to that state which is beyond all evil. Evil is in the sense of misery, pain, suffering, fear, and so on. So then it happens. It seems very easy, and it actually is, and it's very simple. But who is able to do it? Because their complex and tangled mind and will interfere. But if we get that all straightened out through continual meditation, then success is assured. When your intellect has cleared itself of its delusions, you will become indifferent to the results of all action, present or future. At present, your intellect is bewildered by conflicting interpretations of the scriptures. Even the wisest principles, they have corollaries to them. This is true, but thus and so in this situation, or in this it's altered. You follow me? In other words, because it is actually a living thing, because you're alive. There's all kinds of could be's and may happens and sure to happen and what if it happens. But if you lay that aside and you don't think, well, I'm told to be indifferent to my actions, and then I'm told to do the right actions, the good actions, and to benefit myself and other people. Well, how's that going to happen? Just go back to square one. Be a yogi, be a yogi, be a yogi. Because he continues, when it can rest, notice rest, not like, oh, I'm going to meditate, I'm really going to get there. You see people sitting supposedly to meditate, and they're utterly tensed up. I've even known people that when they close their eyes and meditate, they went like this. Well, that doesn't work. When it can rest steady and undistracted in contemplation of the Atman, you can right now start to experience your true self. Of course, it'll only just be a bit of the true self. But when you look in the sky, you only see a bit of the sky. Now you can stand there and turn around and take in the huge expanse, but then you only can see from horizon to horizon. So there's a great deal to experience, a great deal to see, but don't push yourself. Again, in this calm, see what you ought to see. Then, Krishna says, you will reach union with the Atman. So it's just meditate, learn to dwell in the calm and fixed awareness of meditation, and then union with your true self is just a step or two away. It's truly amazing, isn't it? But it's true. So Arjuna then says, Krishna, how can one identify a man who is fully established and absorbed in Brahman? I mean, people make these claims about themselves all the time. In what manner does an illumined soul speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? In other words, not what is he way deep inside, invisibly, where nobody can know what's going on. We will see by how he speaks, how he moves, and what he does, and what results he brings about from his doing. That's how you're going to identify him. So Krishna says, starting right at the fundamentals, he knows bliss in the self and wants nothing else. Now that's very important. A lot of people pretend, oh, yes, I'm always in touch with that higher self, but I've got to do this and I've got to get that. And I've been given a mission from God I must fulfill. If I don't fulfill it, then uh, that will be a real mess. One of the biggest uh, yogis in the yoga boom, and he was actually the biggest fake of all, he actually told some of his disciples, I heard this in a recording. He was saying that his fake form of yoga wasn't spreading in America as fast as he wanted it. And he said, if it doesn't spread as it should, I suffer. And in other conversations, he acted like there were great big overshadowing spirits behind him, of whom he was just only their agent. And that if he didn't come through with the goods, so to speak, he'd be in trouble. Now that's scary. And yet, you see, a fake teacher has fake yoga and he has fake yogis. He has fake disciples. So the fake disciples didn't even think to catch him out on that because I don't know. I don't know where their minds were, but they certainly weren't present. So then, not shaken by adversity, not hankering after happiness, free from fear, free from anger, especially in the idea of anger at being frustrated at not getting what we want or what we have worked for, free from the things of desire. You see, you can only desire something that's separate from you. So anything that's separate from you, when concentrated on, will produce divided consciousness in you and externalized and externalizing consciousness in you. And then, well, you're back where you were before you even thought about yoga and thought about sadhana. But when you can attain that by your sadhana, then he says, I call him a seer. In other words, he's a sage. He has vidya, he has true knowledge, and illumined. The bonds of his flesh are broken. That is, the karma of his material existence that would impel him to future incarnations is broken. He is fortunate and does not rejoice. He is unfortunate and does not grieve because he realizes it's all my karma and my duty is to do my best, and I have done my best, so I have nothing to worry about. Therefore, Krishna simply says, I call him illumined. The tortoise can draw in its legs. The seer can draw in his senses. In meditation, this is an essential. That when the meditation process is right, then the meditator becomes more and more and more aware of his inside being, his inside mechanism. Antakarana is the word in Sanskrit. And so he comes to experience his inner senses. In other words, there's an outer sight, an outer touch, there's an inner sight, an inner touch. And so he begins to experience it is in a sense a sensory awareness, but it's an interiorized sensory experience. I call him illumined. The abstinent run away from what they desire. This is a very important verse. This is number 59. The abstinent run away from what they desire, but carry their desires with them. When a man enters reality, he leaves his desires behind him because he's totally fulfilled. It isn't even just that, well, he sees these are rather trivial things he's desired, or they're only permanent things he'll have to leave. He back before this point, he does see that. And he has calmness because he understands. There was a song, I think in the 20s, called I'm Always Chasing Rainbows. So he realizes it's to fulfill these desires is to just chase rainbows, something insubstantial, isn't even real. So he leaves foolish and unresolvable desires behind him because he is again fulfilled. Even a mind that knows the path can be dragged from the path. Well, I think any yogi who's had any experience knows that. Even a mind that knows the path can be dragged from the path. They do it all the time. As I've said, and I really, really don't like saying this, every yogi I began with dropped out eventually. Some just kind of evaporated, and others cracked up, crashed, and burned, and came to an extremely bad end. An end that they would never have thought they could come to, but they did. So never underestimate the power of material life to stymie your progress, and never underestimate the power of your own mind to cooperate and become completely blocked and stagnated in this spiritual life. He says the senses are so unruly, and the inmost sense, the mind, is more unruly because, let's face it, your eye doesn't have a will of its own, your ears don't have a will of its own of their own, but the mind does. So when you take those in hand, sit in meditation, and make them begin to look inward to the higher and subtle aspects of the sensory life, then illumination begins. This next part is extremely important. Thinking about sense objects will attach you to sense objects. Don't think that you can think about all kinds of things and that then your mind won't start sticking to it and you won't be able to separate it from it. So you just push it out of your mind. You have to be ruthless about this because thinking about sense objects will attach you to the sense objects. Grow attached and you become addicted. This is a problem. We are addicted. We're addicted to rebirth. We're addicted to our egos. Thwart your addiction, either whether it happens because external forces block our getting the things we're addicted to, or whether we just stop it in our own mind and somehow, because these things are made of energy, and energy is really ultimately consciousness, it's like it has a life of its own. And when you're thwarted, it turns to anger. Be angry and you confuse your mind. No one who's angry is unconfused. Confuse your mind, you forget the lesson of experience. People say, finally I realize that's not where happiness lies. All right, I'll never go that route again. But you do because you forget. Forget experience, you lose discrimination. Viveka is the word. Well, all right. That told me we're going to have to take up this verse next time. So, namaste. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.